What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com. And today we're going to be doing a super basic, super easy, super beginner tutorial into mixing vocals. What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio1Tutorials.com for exclusive member content and premium tutorials. Now, this tutorial here, just to make sure you're the right person to watch this tutorial is for folks who are taking MP3 instrumentals, recording vocals over them, and then get to this part of the process where they have to mix it down and they just get stuck and they get frustrated and they have no idea what to do. So this is going to be something where I can take you from that point to being able to play something for your friends and them not want to turn it down because it sounds like shit, right? So the first thing, as with anything that has to do with music production or creation or anything of that ilk, is you need to get out of this place of expecting things to sound like they do on the radio, or expecting things how they sound on iTunes. Okay, you don't have a professional studio, so you're not going to get a 100% professional sound. What you should be focused in on right now is how can I get this so that it doesn't offend somebody's ears, right? Your people that you're showing these songs to and everything, like even if you're posting up on SoundCloud, like, bro, we know you're not a pro because you don't come to the city and pack venues. So nobody's expecting you to have Drake sound quality. So stop shooting so high for it, especially if your proficiency in the program doesn't allow you to achieve that goal, because you can still get exposure with recordings that are less than perfect. It's the fucking cornerstone of hip hop, is for things to be less than perfect. So embrace that. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look at the mixer first. I'm just going to show you how to get around the mixer. When you press X and you pull up your mixer, you can go ahead and click this button right here just to make it a little bit cleaner, right? Now, you want to pay attention to these two buttons here. This is going to expand where you can put your effects. Okay? So that'll open and close that window. Then you want to pay attention to this one right here. And this is just going to basically compress and expand your channels. All right. So the first thing that everybody messes up with mixing when they're first starting out is if they can't hear something, they turn that thing up. That's not how this works. Like, you got to think about what you're doing. It's called a mix down, right? When you listen to something that comes out of the studio, you're listening to a mix down. You're not listening to a mix up. A mix up is trash. It's garbage. You know, if you get yourself into a mix up, it's a problem. All right. So remember that. What you want to get yourself into is a mix down. So what you want to do is understand what your goal is, because a lot of people go into mixing something and they're gonna say, oh, my goal is for my song to sound hot. Okay, that's cool, bro. Your goal is to be able to hear your voice clearly so that everybody can understand your lyrics. That means that your vocals, not the 808, not the snare, in situations where you're just recording over an MP3, your vocals are going to be the loudest part of the mix. Now, if you're a more intermediate person and you're still watching this shit, just turn it off. Don't start commenting on the video about all the things that I'm telling people that are wrong. You're the wrong person to be watching this video. So with that in mind, this is what's going to save you from just an unlistenable record altogether. Is you need to get your vocals to a point where you like the way that they sound without the beat. So just turn the beat down. And let's just go ahead and listen to our hook. I'm going to go ahead and put it on repeat. Oh, another thing you want to do that this artist didn't do is you want to find the tempo of your track. All your reverbs and delays, they're what's called time-based effects, which means that they sound best when they're in sync with the tempo of the track. But if you're just dropping MP3s into the fucking sequencer and you're not changing the tempo, which is everything. So if you need to learn how to find the tempo of an instrumental, I have a tutorial on that. Just search Craftmaster, find the tempo of any beat, and it'll come up. Watch it. It's super easy to do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at my mix, my hook track by track. All right. So I'm going to turn all this down and I'm going to listen to my vocals and see what I got.
Boy, you's a joke. Boy, you broke. You's a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. You's a jackass. Boy, you broke. You's a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. You's a jackass. Boy, you broke. You's a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. You's a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. You's a motherfucking jackass.
Now, when I'm listening to that, I'm noticing that the vocal is peaking around -6 dB. Now, my golden rule for my process and how I mix, this is my personal opinion, is I don't let the entire signal, which is over here on the main, which is what you will always want to keep an eye on. I don't let my entire signal go above -6, between -6 or -3 when I mix. Now, if just one track of my vocal is already peaking at -6, what do you think is going to happen when I add the signal from the hook and this and that, and then I put the instrumental on top? We're going to be, when you add signals and you bring in tracks, even if they're at low volumes, you are increasing the overall volume, right? So what I have to do now is I'm going to pull this down a little bit to say where the main vocal is around, we'll say -10, something like that. So I'm going to pull it down around here and I'm going to listen to it.
Boy, you's a joke. Boy, you broke. You's a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. You's a jackass. Boy, you broke. You's a joke. You a jackass.
Now, if you've never seen this, it done this way, you're probably fucking freaking out right now. You're probably like, dude, that's too low. You don't know what you're talking about. But look, if that's too low, then turn your speakers up. You don't get volume by turning things up in your mixer. You get volume by the mastering process. But if you don't leave the mastering plugins enough room to do their work, and you just have this thing coming out hitting -0, the end result of your mix is gonna sound like shit. Just get that in your head. So if you want something to sound good, it's gotta be more quiet than you're used to hearing it as. So you either need a better audio interface if this is too low, or a headphone amplifier, or a better set of monitors that are going to give you the volume that you need. Like right now, my recording interface is a Complete Audio 6. It's a $200 interface. Granted, it's pushing $1,000 speakers, but the volume that this little prosumer hobbyist interface gives out, and it's totally within the budget of someone who has a home studio, it's perfect for what I'm doing. Like I could crank this super loud, so you don't need to go get something crazy expensive. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hook and I'm gonna balance it. I'm gonna make it sound so that everything's nice and clear. I can hear everything. It's the way that I like it to my taste, and then we'll go ahead and bring the beat in.
Boy, use a joke. Boy, you broke. Use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. You a jackass. You a jackass.
Now, your most powerful effects, plugins, or however you think about mixing, your most powerful tools when you're mixing to make things sound clearer, or more spaced out, or wide, or anything, it is your faders and your pan pots. So, in order to spread this out a little bit and make it easier to distinguish these dubs, I'm going to give the left speaker one signal, and I'm going to give the right speaker another signal. Let's go ahead and listen to this and see if we can distinguish it a little bit more.
Boy, use a joke. Boy, you broke. Use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke.
So just off of that little bit of work, you can see it sounds completely different. The hook sounds wider now. You can hear you can hear these two tracks distinguished from each other, because instead of being split down the center, where the left speaker is putting out a mirror image of this signal and the right speaker is putting out the same thing, we're just going to scoot this one to the left speaker, scoot this one to the right. That way the left speaker is just responsible for this, the right speaker is responsible for this, and just move it out of that middle, and that's going to give you clarity. Panning creates clarity. Panning creates clarity. And a lot of different people have a lot of different theories on panning. For the most part, I pan 100% left and right. I don't like the whole pan 50% over here. Like that's the I don't like the way it sounds in most cases. So I just go ahead and use that. So now that I have this together on my hook, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to bring the beat back in slowly, and then when I hear the beat get to a point where it's loud but it's not overtaking the vocals, I'm gonna stop. Even if that means the beat is right here, I'm not gonna freak out about that. All right, so let's go ahead and try this out.
Boy, use a joke. Boy, you broke. Use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. You a jackass. You a jackass. Let boy use a joke. Boy, you broke. Use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop.
Okay, so I like that balance, that the beat isn't too loud, the vocals are out front. It sounds good to me. Now, if you notice, I'm keeping an eye on my gain over here. Like, I'm really low on my gain right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hold down shift, click on each one of these tracks. I'm gonna play the song, and I'm gonna pay attention to when the highest peaks start hitting this -6. I'm gonna raise everything up at the same time, and then I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna leave it alone, because that's as loud as the song as the song is allowed to go in the mixing stage. All All right, so let's go ahead and work on that.
Work be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. You a jackass, you a jackass. Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke, use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a joke, you a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. You a jackass.
Okay, so now I've got the gain, which is the volume. So I've got my gain structure intact, which means that the beat is sitting where it needs to be, and the vocals are sitting where they need to be in order to get to that -6 max peak, which is as long as your song isn't going above -6, like you're gonna be bueno, you'll be straight. So other things that we could do to make this sound a little bit better, and kind of things that you could do to help in your recordings, is you press this button to go ahead and open up your plugins. Now, if you want to put an effect on something, you go ahead and hit this plus sign, and it's going to bring up, we're just going to deal with stock stuff, it's going to bring up this Presonus tab, and then that's where you're going to see your Empire and your Pro EQs and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put an EQ on this, and I'm gonna listen to this and see what I can do to make it sound a little bit better.
Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke, use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a joke, you a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke, use a motherfucking jackass. You a jackass, you a jackass. Boy, use a joke, boy, use a joke, boy, you broke, use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass. Boy, you broke, use a joke, you a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town, use a jackass.
All right, so I like that little bit of change. The first thing you guys should have noticed is how I turned this LC on. What this is it's called LC because it's a low cut filter, and you'll notice that there was a lot of signal coming out below this 50 hertz line, and all of that signal in a vocal is garbage. Like it's all mic noise and stuff. And what happens if you have a hook or something that has a bunch of this low frequency, and you build it up, like say it's all at negative 18 dB, but you've got 4 tracks with a whole bunch of just garbage hanging out at 18 dB, it's going to multiply, and then all of a sudden it's going to be this loud over here, and that's going to make it harder to hear the beat, believe it or not. It's going to make it harder to hear the bass. Like if you make beats, you already know this is 808 land. You don't really want nothing in that space. A good area to look for cuts, a lot of times, especially on lower quality studio mics, is between 200 and 500 hertz. Usually, without a doubt, you could find like a little dip to get in there. If you're listening to this voice like I was, and you're noticing like it sounded a little muffled, raising up the highs between 5 and 10K, that'll bring out more clarity in the voice. Just more high frequencies equal clarity. So around 5K, that's where your presence is going to be. 10K is going to be clarity and air, and those are little key frequencies that you want to play with and just kind of boost them up just a little bit. If you got to make big adjustments, you're fucking up. So just kind of play around with these 3 frequency zones. Don't mess with any other ones. Just these 3, and roll your your low frequencies off with this low cut, and you're going to notice a big cleanup in your recordings. Now, I like the way that this sounds for this main track, right? So it stands to reason I would want to EQ the other vocals the same because they're coming through the same microphone, coming through the same preamp. So in order to do that, all I'm going to do is click and hold on Pro EQ, and I'm just going to drag it over to the next few tracks. Now, let's go ahead and listen to see what we got.
Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke. Use a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a joke, you a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, you a jackass, you a jackass.
So instantly you hear that, you know, you got more clarity, a lot less mud going on in the recording. But what you don't hear is this crazy, like, oh my God, what a change. What a crazy difference. Sounds like Drake now, bruh. No, and you're not going to get that unless you're using the preamp microphone and room that Drake has. And this is what you got. This is what a lot of you guys need to understand, is that if you record in a bedroom, it's gonna sound like you recorded in a bedroom. It's not gonna sound like you recorded in a studio. All you could do is make it as clear as possible, which is what we've done here. This was recorded in a dining room in an apartment. So I'm not gonna freak out and go crazy about, you know, a little ambient noise in the background or things like that. Like it is what it is. You know, it's a street song for a mixtape, and it's fine. Now, the deal is now you're gonna have an issue with volume, because obviously you don't want to. This isn't commercial volume. You're gonna want to take care of that. So the easiest and quickest way to do that is just go to your main channel. And go ahead and throw on a limiter, right? And let's see if we could get a preset. Let's see what main set does.
Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke. Use a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a joke, you a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, you a jackass, you a jackass. Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke. Use a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a joke, you a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, you a jackass, you a jackass. Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke. Use a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a joke, you a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, you a jackass, you a jackass. Boy, use a joke, boy, you broke. Use a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a joke, you a jackass, say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass, boy, you broke.
You see, that's how you get your volume, is through a limiter and through the mastering process. So if you want right now, copy down these settings: ceiling at -0.3 dB, threshold at 1.32. And then all you got to do is set these two settings and then push this input knob until you get up to 0 with your signal, right? And the limiter is gonna prevent you from clipping, so you don't have to worry about that. Then the other thing you want to pay attention to is this other white line that bounces up and down within the signal, and you just want to make sure that that's between, you know, -9 and -6. You don't want it to go above -6. Pay attention to this. I'll show you with my mouse.
You motherfucking jackass. You a jackass. You a jackass. Boy, use a joke. Boy, you broke. Use a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a joke. You a jackass. Say you pop work, be out of town. Use a jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass. Boy, you broke. Use a motherfucking jackass.
And that's all there is to it. So again, just to recap, you know, the first thing you want to do is you want to understand what you're doing. You want your voice to sound loud, and in front of the beat. You want to be able to hear yourself clearly. You want to be able to hear your ad libs and everything clearly. And you don't want to obsess over getting this perfect sound because, again, you're just a beginner. You know, you mix 50 songs like this and you're gonna get to a point where you can start moving on to more advanced concepts and get really good at mixing. But don't skip this step of just doing this fundamental exercise, because when you watch a lot of vocal tutorials, even mine, like, we already assume that you know some, you know, most things about a DAW, but a lot of people are just stepping into this and they don't know anything. So know what your goal is, work towards that goal, temper your expectations. Don't even fucking think that putting 60 effects on your voice is going to make it sound better. Your voice is only going to sound as good as you record it. Understand that. Let's say it again. Your voice is only going to sound as good as you record it. That's why preamps are $2,500 and plugins are $200. So I hope you guys got something from this. This is Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions, Studio One tutorials. Keep it simple. Don't be basic, and we'll see y'all on the next one.